guys, I'm in my studio Friday afternoon and I have a little project I want to show you that is yet another way to use your scraps of paper. So I like this, I have fun with it, and it kind of gives me a fun little thing to do in between projects, and it's great for something small to have at art shows and art fairs or in my studio. So these are scraps of paper. They're little 4x4 canvases that I cover with papers, and these are just all leftovers from projects that I've been working on. So when I'm done working on a piece, I just hang on to all my scraps because I know they're going to be good for something, especially if they're a decent size, and a lot of these are. So I'm gonna pull a couple out, maybe that one. I want them to go with what I've got going on here. That's actually a piece of fabric. I like that. I like that. Let's see what else. I got that. That will tie in with everything else. I like those. I think I'm gonna get rid of those. And I've got this one little 4x4 to work on, and they're pretty simple, pretty easy. Here I have my polyurethane that I use to glue my papers down. So this paper is a little thicker, so it will take a little bit more than polyurethane to glue it down. Let me see what I can come up with here. It's kind of fun. I need just a little bit more taken off. Okay, that's gonna work. This one's gonna work. Let me get that laid down. And I'm just putting a nice coat of the polyurethane sealer on my little canvas. And I don't have to have much of a plan. It doesn't have to be perfect because I'm more than likely going to do something over this paper. Up in here, and just do my little fold. And as always with all papers, when you're laying it down, make sure to go back and make sure it's sticking and that there's no bubbles. Now this paper's darkening just because it's wet. It'll definitely lighten up again because it was really a pretty paper with metallic fibers through it. 12 little pieces. Now what? Now, they look kind of fun the way they are. Let me get rid of this. They look, I could easily just put a couple top coats on those and call it a day, and it's a fun little grouping of wall, a nice little wall grouping. Now what else can I do? Okay, now I'm going to start doing a little bit of voiceover to walk you through some of the steps that I'm doing. This is my little fine liner. It's a little container I can put my own paint in, and it has a needle point on it, which sometimes gets clogged, so you have to be careful of that and always have your pin to stick back in and unclog. But look how fun it is to add some design detail and figure out where each of these little pieces are going. As I may have mentioned, these pieces are all for the upcoming art walk in Little Italy, San Diego, that's coming up at the end of April. And I like to have small pieces in my space so everybody can have a piece of art. This show that I'm doing is mostly all, well, not mostly, it is all flowers. So these little pieces are going to work in really great. So now I'm adding the indication of flowers, and I just take several different colors of paint and have them sitting on the sidelines, easy for me to grab. I think summer, I think spring, I think flowers. I take the paint right out of my tube. Sometimes I have it on a little palette, and I just go from one piece to the next. I'll take my orange and hit every piece with orange, my pink, every piece with pink. It becomes a little floral assembly line of sort. It's really fun, it's really intuitive, and you can just get lost in it. So I enjoy this process a lot. When I get into a few more steps, you'll see how the flowers come together. After going in and adding a few more details with my little fine liner, once you're working along on a series, for me, it kind of starts coming together, and it's flowers, it's vases, it's bowls of flowers. So now what I do is I go back and I negative paint around the little flower splotches that I put in. I add some color and some detail to some of the vases, but not all of them. And this is where it all starts to come together and make a little bit more sense. One of my favorite things to do is to negative paint and in that way have the shape show up, the shape of what I'm doing show up. I also like to leave little edges of the background color popping through for definition. I like that painterly effect. And this little group is getting ready for some details. Okay, now I've got these little paintings, these little florals all lined up. I'm liking where they're at. And now it's time to add a little detail with my favorite marking tool. I don't know what it is about a Stabilo pencil. It may have been one of the first marking tools I ever used that I remember, and I just stick with it. I love playing with it. I love the softness of the lead and how it goes on to my pieces of art. So I'm just going in and adding a little definition, not too much, but I do like a touch of black in my pieces, even my little pieces. So I start out by going through each and every one and adding a little outline to it. And then, as you'll see, I'll come back with a damp paintbrush and go over them, go over my lines, because it'll create a watercolory effect that I really like. So it doesn't take much water, and I can go through, and you can just, like I said, create some really nice little effects. So it's just not a straight black line. You can get little areas where it's watercolory. You can blot it off and take parts away that you don't like. Most important thing to remember if you're using a Stabilo pencil, and right here, I love how it makes those lines irregular. That really works for me. But what I was going to say is what you need to remember when you're doing Stabilo, if you haven't used them before, they are water soluble. So if you are going to top coat your pieces, which you really must do, because anytime water hits that Stabilo, it's going to smear. So what I do is I will take either a spray workable fixative and spray my pieces before I put my polyurethane top coats on, or if I'm really daring, I'll just use my polyurethane and do one swipe of the paintbrush. If you swipe back over it a second time, you're going to smear everything. So it's kind of an art in itself, just trying to get that swipe right so you don't run your Stabilo pencils. But I love the detail it adds, and it's just fun. So a few last minute little details, a few little spots here and there going on each and every piece and making sure each one gets finished off. This is a really fun little group to do. I have 12 little paintings now that I can have at my art walk, and I'm pretty happy about that. So if you have canvases laying around, give this a try. It's a great way to get rid of papers and extra canvases. And thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next video, and I really appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell and catch all my videos as they come out. Thanks again for watching.